And I'm here to say that the promise that had been made in 1960 with the master plan, the promise that said that there is room for every student in the state of California, that promise has been broken by UC. I'm here as a former teacher, as a teacher for 20 years in Riverside Unified. And last week, I met with young students from J.W. North High School in my district, a young Latina who wants to attend UC, a young Latina who's worked hard in the classroom for many years, but because of where we are today, could very well not find room at UC. I'm here to represent the young single mother from Orange County who I met with, who worked hard as a community college student, who worked hard and again is looking to transfer to a UC. And again, we may not have a place for her at UC given where we are today, given the facts that were brought out by the audit last week. So I was a high school teacher, and as a high school teacher, I gave students many grades. And I'm here today to say that I would give an F grade to the state of California for where we are with UC. But as a state legislator, I take responsibility as well for our part in where we are today. And so as I find many of the statistics disturbing, I agree with Mr. Gibson. I agree with Mr. Gibson that the report indicates that we seem to be practicing affirmative action for out-of-state students, that we are not finding place for our students. It is only 11% of minority students at UC today, although they represent 45% of the student body of our high schools. So as we seem to be giving preference to out-of-state students, understandably when the state of California has not given or has cut back on resources, out-of-state students, international students have been given preference over California students. They've been accepted with lower GPAs. They've been accepted with lower SAT scores than California students. So in fact, they have been given preference.
As a first-generation college student from a single mother household, if these practices continue, I could have been locked out. My sister could be locked out, and that is unacceptable. It is clear that our university system, while still one of the greatest in the world, is letting some people down. I know President Napolitano is committed to tackling these issues, and we invite both her and our legislative partners to engage in the constituency most affected by these shortcomings, the students like me. We recognize that there is room for students from every walk of life, and a global perspective is necessary for a rounded education. However, we must ensure that the University of California remains first and foremost a university for California. We cannot compare ourselves to private universities or schools across the country as a benchmark because we are not okay with what they are doing. I know we share a common goal of getting a more transparent and accountable University of California.
But I'm not here to point fingers. I'm not here to squabble with UC. As a teacher, as a legislator, I'm here to look for solutions. So I would offer two solutions to get us back on the path where we should be. And the first one is the legislation that myself and Assemblymember McCarty introduced, and that's AB 1370, to limit UC non-resident enrollment and to use non-resident tuition revenues to support California students. The second one is that I think we should get back. We should get back to what was legislative practice, and that is to make sure that we incentivize acceptance of California students by tying our funding to the growth of California student enrollment. It was a practice done by the legislature before, and a practice which I think we need to get back to. And I would recommend that we do that we make sure that when we fund UC, it's based on targeted figures targeted figures that we say, these are the number of California students that must be admitted in order for you to get funded at the levels. So again, it does that student in Riverside at JW North High School no good for us just to point fingers and to squabble, to get into a spitting match with UC. That's not my intention. My intention is to move forward, to look for solutions, to see how we can keep the promise that we made in 1960 to California students, that all students who are qualified have a place at UC. It is unacceptable. It is unacceptable that 10,000 students were, in the words of UC, redirected to a campus not of their choice, right? Redirected to UC Merced, and only 6% of those 10,000 students eventually ended up enrolling in UC. That is unacceptable. I don't think we can use those 10,000 students as saying that we are meeting the master plan's promise of accepting the top 12% of California students.